What up YouTube? I'm going to make a new video today. I am going to do a direct comparison with the KO controller and the Torp controller, kind of like a launch speed test. I'm going to pick a point on the road, take off from there, make it to another point. We'll compare those speeds with the KO at the exact same settings. We're going to use the same kilowatts and phase amps on both bikes to get a good comparison. We'll start off with the Torp controller. We'll evaluate that in Premiere Pro and get an accurate time of launch and all that kind of stuff. So I'll go over the phone settings on both controllers. We'll get those set. So let's get to it. All right, so on the Torp controller, we're gonna go ahead and go to the settings here on this guy. And right now we're at 7.3 kilowatt, which is the max for this battery. And I'm gonna go ahead and crank this up to 500 phase amps and we'll leave it at that. 7.3, 500 phase amps. Those are the settings we're gonna go with, and then we'll match those on the KO when we go to test that. Our starting point, we'll say, is back here at this actual pot here. So let's get that and see how we go. Okay, I'm gonna put my front tire right here on this. Oh, we got a car coming and a car leaving, so we'll wait a sec. All right, front tire's on here. 3, 2, 1, go. Gonna get ready for my second run here, and as you can see, the battery percentage is at 100%. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, this is my third pass in 3, 2, 1, go. What I do is I'll take this into Premiere Pro and I'll see the exact frame that I take off, and I'll see the exact frame that I cross over that manhole to get an exact accurate timestamp on those, and I'll compare the two and put the times up on the screen as you can see here. Here's all the different 3 times. All right, we're also going to do a top speed run, just one of each. And on here, the field weakening will set at 50 amps, which is 50%. We'll set that same thing on the KO when I get to that point for the test. Let's do a top speed test, and I'll start on this line, and I'm gonna go right before this truck. Ready? I mean, that's as fast as I could get. We'll try going back up again and see if it makes any difference. Here we go. So 49 miles an hour. I held that for a little while, so we'll say that's top speed on the Torp. So as you can see, 49 miles an hour top speed on the Torp, and that's nothing to dismiss. That's a pretty good increase in speed for just a little under 2 kilowatt increase in power on the Sur-Ron from the stock. So 49, I know on the stock, on true GPS, I was gonna get like 44, 43, 44 with me, and now with me on that, 49. So you can look at 5 mile an hour increase in top speed, and I know the takeoff was a lot faster than that. I'm gonna get the KO going. We'll get the app configured to the same settings. We'll get that test underway. All right, on the KO app, I'm gonna go ahead and create a new profile. We'll call it test. We'll go in here and we're going to set the phase current down, or the DC current down, to 7.3. I won't be able to do actually 7.3. It's going to do 7.2 at 120 amps. I'm going to give the KO a little disadvantage here, and if I feel like it's not good enough, I'll maybe do another run at 125 amps. And we'll set this to 500 phase amps, which is the max that the Torp TC500 can do. As you can see, the KO can go all the way up to 800 phase amps. That's like the big difference between the KO and the Torp. If I put like my Chai battery in that bike, I could run 18 kilowatt, but I could still be limited to 500 phase amps. And phase amps is the amount of torque that you have, like in a low end. And I don't really run 500 most of the time because I'm trail riding or doing whatever else, or riding wheelies. That's too much power on the throttle. When you give it gas, it is kind of twitchy. But if you're doing like track or anything like that and just ripping around, then you want more phase amps. So that could be a limitation that a lot of people might take into consideration. But for most people that are just riding around on the street or doing trail riding where you don't need a crazy amount of like low end torque, and trust me, these bikes have enough torque to climb hills and do all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I use under that most of the time when I'm trail riding and going up steep hills. So keep that in mind. Anyway, both of them had the max speed set, 500 phase amps. This is going to be 7.2 kilowatt, and I will set the field weakening to the mid, which would be 3 for the full speed test. So that's what we have verified here: 7.2, 500 phase amps. And we saw the field weakening just then. We'll get this on the bike. Let's get the tests going. All right, so we're on the KO. Here we go on our first test, round 1. 3, 2, 1, go. I'll say this, one thing about the Torp I really like is that regen braking on the handbrake. I don't feel like I'm like smoking my brake pads. I can just grab a handful of brake and that thing slows me down great. All right, round 2 in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, last round on this one. We'll get a look down at the speed to see what we're at there. 3, 2, 1, go. Top speed run. So you caught that. We got to 51 on the way down. We'll do another one on the way up here in a sec. All right, here we go. On the way up, we'll see if we get to 51 again. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw the KO times up here on the screen now, and then I'm gonna also do the comparison of the KO and the Torp controllers here. And I feel like the KO definitely had a higher top speed. I got barely 51 for a second, but we'll just call it 50 because it just barely got there. So 1 mile an hour difference there in top speed. I mean, that's not that big a deal, considering also I'm using a Chai battery in the KO bike. You know, I mean, that might make the difference. The other factor here is that I'm running a 16-19 setup on the KO bike, and the other one is just a 19-19 setup. The gearing ratio on the KO bike is a little bit different because of the smaller radius of the rear wheel. That impacts it a little bit. But in general, like, what can you expect from this Torp controller? This hopefully makes you guys see some settings there, or make a decision if you wanted to go that route. As it is, like, I think both controllers are fantastic. You know, I was upset with the KO. It took them a long time to get my throttle feeling just right, but now it feels fantastic. The Torp throttle feels fantastic. They both feel great. They both have great power. The Torp is an easy win if you want to upgrade your bike and not have to buy a battery. If you want to get an extra 2 kilowatt out of a stock Sur-Ron, you can buy that controller and not even have to touch the battery. There's no bypass. It just reads the BMS and it lets you go higher. So, and if you have one of those newer 38 amp hour batteries, you can go all the way up to like 8.3 kilowatt, you know, so it's almost 3 kilowatts higher. It just depends on the batteries. That's an easy choice if that's what your route is. If you're going to buy a controller and a battery all in one package, you know, there's a few choices out there that are, you know, the X9000 or the X9 and the the Torp. They're all good choices. But if you're strapped for money and you want to make that upgrade, and you down the road maybe a year later get a battery, the Torp feels like a good choice because you can benefit from that controller and get 2 more kilowatt for the time. Hopefully this video helps people make decisions. You know, I'm not daring you in any way. You know, I have no bias toward one or the other of the 2 bikes I ride. Like, my son loves that Torp controller. He thinks it's the greatest thing, and every time I ride it, I'm really impressed with how much power that's getting off of a stock battery. So maybe one day I'll take the battery lid off of his bike and stick my Chai battery in there, and we'll crank it up and test it out. I mean, if you guys would like to see that, leave some comments in the video. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Like the video if you thought this was helpful, and yeah, until the next one, keep the rubber side down.